Hello and welcome to Discourse of Peacocks, where today we're going to be discussing a very delayed Millwall versus Leeds United and a Leeds United versus QPR reaction. Obviously, we got our second defeat of the season away to Millwall at the Den. Disappointing, frustrating, a pretty boring game, which we quickly rectified by a win at home to QPR. I was actually at and managed to go to that game. It was in the West Stand. It was different atmosphere than in the East Stand. Met a lovely bloke though, who allowed me and my husband to swap places with him so that we could sit next to one another, which was always lovely. It's nice when people are, understand that you can't always get tickets next to one another. So yeah, that was really nice of him. So you don't need to hear me ramble about that. So we're going to go straight into the good, which now it was a bit of a frustrating game. I've got some notes, so I'm just going to get my notes up. Bit of a frustrating couple of games, really. We're going to do like a mishmash of both of them because of the fact that obviously it's so late doing my reaction, but I've been really busy and so I thought that I would do this now, especially with I don't know if anybody else is like me, but I am missing football terribly, and international football just does not get my motor running in the same way that Leeds United does. So we'll go into the good bits. In the Millwall game, there wasn't that many good things, if I'm being brutally honest. Rothwell was our main kind of threat going forward, which is why I was very confused when Daniel Farker took him off. I apologise if you just heard my dog. She likes to get a bit sassy, obviously, when I choose to record. He was the only one who was kind of progressing the ball forward using long balls. We were quite infuriating in the fact that we were doing a lot of side to side without kind of much propelling ourselves forward. So Rothwell, allowed us that little bit of freedom with some long balls over the top. It allowed us to attempt. We were very wasteful, but it offers something different. I hope that he doesn't lose that as part of his game, because I think that it just it allows us to do something different rather than just kind of short passing our way up the field. Sometimes when the midfield is stacked out. I apologise, I've got motorbikes going past my house. Everybody seems to be out and about now when I'm choosing to record. But I think when we're coming up against low blocks, which seem to be our kind of kryptonite, the long ball across, getting rid of 3/4 of the players, it's something that we're going to have to utilise, and we're going to have to, Daniel Farker's going to have to adapt to playing that slightly more direct instead of more intricate, short, quick passes. We might just have to, I'm not talking lob it over the top, but I'm just talking a pinpoint diagonal ball, that we became accustomed to seeing under, he who shall not be named of Bielsa. But yeah, I think that's something that we're going to have to utilise more. So that was a good thing. We controlled both of the games. Maybe to our detriment in the Millwall one, because especially once they'd got the goal, they weren't that bothered about doing anything else because they know how well drilled they are with defending. But yeah, it was, I don't know, it was just one of those things. Pirro, not great at QPR, but he was efficient against, no, not against QPR. He was efficient against QPR, not great against Millwall. I personally would have chosen Joseph for that sort of a game and then bring Pirro on at the end, like, what happened at the QPR game. I think that Daniel Farke set us up in that home game the way that we should have been set up as well in the Millwall game. I think different strikers for different games. If you're going to have teams that are going to sit back, you need a forward setup that's going to exhaust them. And we didn't really do that because that's not Piro's game. We need to work to our players' strengths, and knackering the defenders out is not one of Piro's strengths. He's incredibly efficient in front of goal, which is why for me you bring him on later against tired legs, because he's going to have that space to play in. But for me, Joseph tires them out. Yes, I would like Joseph to become more efficient, but you have to work with what you've got, and until he gets into that full striker mode, Piro is the one who's going to get us more goals, in my opinion. 3 points better off, with the win against QPR. We're only 2 points now off the top. You get rid of one Meslier mistake and we are sat top of the table. That's how fine these margins are right now, and that's why I don't think that you can really say that Daniel Farke isn't doing his job. How is he supposed to come up for a solution from a divot or sprinkler in the ground plus a goalkeeping error, slip from Solomon? Those two things, and not only are we at the top of the table, but we're 3 points clear at the top of the table as well. So yeah, I think that we're getting there. It's just not maybe exhilarating. Schmidt, when he came on in the QPR game, I thought he looked like he had a point to prove, and I think that that's the I've been a huge advocate of Farke's man management. Sometimes he can be overcritical with people. We saw that with Charlie Cresswell. Not saying that Cresswell didn't deserve the criticism, but some players rise to the occasion and some players take offence and take the ball home. And I think Schmidt seems to be one of those players that's like, no, you say something like that I'm not training hard enough, or I'm not equipped to this league yet, or anything like that. I'm going to show you that I am. And I like that. I like that fire, that kind of passion that somebody's going to come and going to say, no, like, don't judge me off a few minutes. Like, I'm gonna prove you wrong. And he was instrumental. I don't know whether it counts as an assist. I've not actually looked at his stats, but he was the last player to get the touch before Piro scored the second goal in the QPR game. I don't know whether that'll count as an assist or not, but he was certainly instrumental. I was because we were shooting. He was playing on the. God, I'm really bad for my left and right. He was playing on the left, and he was brilliant. And Gilavogi was also brilliant in terms of he's just physical. So yeah, I think that Schmidt is going to do us good. Whether he is the left back that we all presumed that he was going to be, we know he's got the attributes of potentially being the next Stuart Dallas type player, but we originally bought him as a left back, and so far I don't think I've seen him play in a defensive position yet. He's mainly been replacing Nonto on the wing. So I don't know whether Farke sees him as differently, and just because a player has played somewhere at a previous club doesn't necessarily mean that that's his position. Look at Archie Gray, look at Calvin Phillips, who's being played as a 10, and then Bielsa said, no, you're a 6. So just because we've bought a player thinking that they're one thing doesn't necessarily mean that that's their best position, and a manager maybe sees different qualities in him. So hopefully Schmidt can continue to impress and earn his minutes on the pitch. That would be my hope for him. We're going to go on to the bad. Now, obviously, we do have a loss and a win to review. Set pieces. I don't know. It's just are they worth talking about anymore? We just don't seem to be learning anything. I don't know whether that's the players. I don't know whether that's the coaching style. I'm not in there, so I don't necessarily know, but I know as a fan and a viewer and a lover of football, the fact that we just, I know I'll just speak for myself. I won't speak for the entire fan base, but I just roll my eyes when we get given a corner or any sort of set piece, really, because we just know that we're not going to do anything with it, even though Rothwell's deliveries are probably the best that we've had in a long time. Maybe since Rafinha. I'm not saying he is Rafinha. I'm just saying that's probably the best kind of delivery that we've had since Rafa. So yeah. It's just tedious and stressful watching. And I don't know how many corners, at least 12 we had in that Millwall game, and you just know that we're not going to be doing anything with them. It's just give it to the goalkeeper. We've seen this story before. We know exactly how this scene plays out. So I would like something to happen, get new coaches, get new specialists in, teach and if we don't have the height for set pieces, like to go into the box, especially against a team like Millwall, who are just fucking, I would be looking up at them like this because I'm vertically challenged. So me and Nonto would both be staring up at them. I just don't see the point. Go for short corners, play it low, because they're not technical players. That's obviously the best corner of that game was the one that got air kicked by Firpo. So yeah, I just, what's the point in doing a cross into the box when Millwall are 10 feet tall and just, fairly sturdy blokes? Why not outplay them tactically? We're better with our feet. We have technical players who, are better with their feet than necessarily their physicality and their height. Play to our strengths. Don't just play because this is how a corner should be. A corner should be over the top into the middle for somebody to head it in. If we don't have those players available and that's not our strength, don't do it. Just because, there's no rule book to say that you have to take a corner like this. So just be inventive, think of something different, play to our strengths. And as well, not only, if our strengths and their, the opposition's weaknesses go hand in hand, perfect for me. Firpo makes contact with that ball, it's 1-1, game on. It's momentum shifts and we get another and we win that game. But we didn't do that again. And then when we did bring taller players on, i.e. when Bamford came on, we then don't do crosses into the box because we've taken off our set piece, our best set piece taker in Rothwell. I didn't understand, I know it's a very lazy criticism when it comes to subs, because as soon as they don't work, then it's immediately Farke's fault. But that game was crying out for some change. It was crying out for something, anything. And for me, I'd have been bringing Gilavogi on, replace physicality with physicality. I'd have taken Aronson off and maybe pushed Rothwell or pushed Tanaka further up the pitch. And then you've got Gilavogi, who's, you're not passing him. You get the ball up there. You're not going past him. He's like, thou shalt not pass. I'd just play Millwall at their own game. He's probably our biggest, most intimidating player that we have in the squad, let alone kind of actually available to us. He genuinely is the most intimidating looking squad member that we've got. So why not use that against a team that are clearly incredibly, physical? I also think I just want to, put out as a bad mention of the fact of Millwall's chant. It's not intimidating. It's just tedious. Like, I had to listen with my headphones on without listening to like any music or anything, or listening to the game. I just wanted to block the sound out. It wasn't intimidating. It wasn't ferocious. It wasn't anything like that. It was just tedious. I'm like, you just sound like a bunch of insert your own expletive here. So yeah, I hate it, because I just think it's so, if that's the best thing that you've got as an intimidation tactic, Jesus Christ, wow. Creativity, lack of speed. We've heard this story before. We need to move the ball quicker when it comes to low blocks. We need to have a quicker thought process. Passes without progression are just futile. They're just pointless. And we literally ended up pointless in that game because of the fact that who cares about all these passing statistics and anything, because I guarantee the majority of those passes were between our centre-backs. So we weren't doing anything with it. Millwall were happy. That was their game plan. Their game plan was always sit back, soak pressure, get a free kick, a corner, some set piece, and then sit back. They did it. They executed it perfectly. Brilliant game plan. Full credit to Millwall, and they are the most informed team, I believe, in the league right now. So it wasn't just that we were poor. It's also, got to give credit to Millwall. They had a game plan. Everybody was 100% committed to said game plan, and they executed it top notch. So well done. But we do miss, I said in Joe Wayman's show that we missed Rutter in terms of his ability to just drive and go through players. I know by the end of the season last year, we were getting frustrated with him losing the ball, but actually this kind of a game, we really missed that person who was just willing to kind of drive forward with, the ball used to stick to his foot like glue at times when he was on it. And, he could lose it, win it back, and then progress forward, pick out a beautiful pass, and we'd be in there. So, yeah, we missed that. Aronson isn't that type of a player. I don't think Aronson's done anything wrong. He did look leggy, and that's why I said I would have kept Rothwell on, and I would have taken Aronson off and put Gilavogi on for just a bit of physicality. Even if we can't necessarily win or draw the game, just if we're going to get players sent off, which I will come to in a second, do it because of the fact that you've actually done something, instead of it just being a wussy, touch of foreheads type of thing. But that does bring me on to the Firpo card situation. Very frustrating in terms of what was the point. If you're going to do something, and I'm not advocating any sort of violence, I don't think there's any place for it. And I agree with the decision that violence shouldn't be tolerated. Do I actually think it was violent? No. But we saw last year with Meslier putting his hand out to the Preston. Was it Preston? Yeah, I'm sure it was Preston player, and him basically walking into his hand, and then Meslier got sent off. So we know that it's going to be given. I agree with Fark, the fact that there isn't VAR. I don't understand why something is going to be seen days later. It wasn't violent. There was no malicious intent. It was just frustration. It was just a coming together and a head press. It wasn't a headbutt. It was just a head press. Like, if you're going to get sent off, do it. Again, not advocating violence. So I think that's about it. I don't want to go in too hard, because at the end of the day, it's done. Millwall, have beaten other teams up at the top of the table, so it's fine. Disappointing, but not the end of the world, like a lot of people are making it out to be. We'll go on to our last topic, which is the dominant. Very quickly, we are second in terms of XG, with only Middlesbrough beating us. We are the best in the league for XG against. So we have the best XG goal difference. We have the best actual goal difference in the league of 15. We've scored the second most goals in the league. We've scored 24 and Sunderland have scored 25. So every single statistic possible says that we are top 2 material. And that, for me, proves that Daniel Farke is doing a good enough job. It is down to the players. It's down to a Solomon slip. It's down to Aronson missing basically an open net against Portsmouth. It's down to Meslier not catching the ball at Sunderland. 3 errors, and actually that's 2, 5, 6, 7. That's 7 points better off than we are currently. Those 3 mistakes have cost us 7 points. That's not on Daniel Farke. That's on the individuals. That's on the players. That's on the people that get paid the most money at the club. It's those individual errors. You take those away, we're sat comfortably already with a gap at the top of the table to Sheffield United as well, because they would be in second place. So I think January is going to be crucial. I hope that the 49ers have learnt their lesson in terms of we need short-term fixes in order to get us over the line. Ipswich did it in January. They got those short-term fixes, and it did get them over the line. They did get promoted automatically, and Southampton did the same as well. I know obviously they went up, against us through the playoffs, but they did it, and we didn't. We got a right back who only played a handful of games for us because he couldn't move Archie out of right back, and then he got injured. So recruitment was vital to part of the reason as to why we didn't get promoted last year. So I do think, for me, I'd love a number 10 type player and another number 9. I think if you've got those, promotion, there's the potential that we could, be dicking the league by the end of it if we get those players over the line. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Discuss, chat. Do you agree, disagree with anything that I've got to say? Do you think that the 49ers will improve us in January? Do you think that they will be neglectful of us? Do you think that they understand now the importance of January, and maybe making some expensive short-term decisions might actually prove cost effective by the fact that we get promoted? Or do you think that they're going to think that Daniel Farke has what he needs? Obviously, there's quite a few moving wheels in terms of Leeds recruitment side of things going on behind the scenes right now. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in January. If Daniel Farke was making noises about needing replacements for Rutter and Somerville in January this year, it's going to be interesting to see if he identifies any other positions that we need to be careful of. Do we need to be careful that if we don't go up, Tanaka's going to go, and things like that? So yeah, let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are. I apologize it's taken me so long to get this out. It's just been a busy couple of weeks. So yeah, like, subscribe, do all of those lovely YouTube-y things, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.